Okay, as I said before, I've waited my obligatory 30 seconds for this thing to catch up. It'll be a little echoey in here. Good morning, everybody. I'm Roy Potter. This is the Potter Expositor, live streaming on YouTube. I thought about doing a recording and then uploading it, but what the heck. Good morning to everybody as you come in. I appreciate you coming by. It's been a crazy week starting last Friday. Well, it's been crazy anyway. And, I spent a lot of time last night and the day before going over some things. And I I tweeted some things out this morning to do with this entire Q debacle, and that's what I'm going to call it at this point. Excuse me for those of you who think that, that's somehow a blasphemy, but we're going to talk about that here in just a minute. I didn't get involved with Q to then be roped into a cult. And that's really what it's become. It's become a cult where any critical thinking outside the box of the cult is attacked. Well, I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, but I've been there before. And I'm going to give you an example. I was in the Mormon church, for instance. Okay? And if you Mormons are out there, and if I hurt your feelings, I'm sorry. This was my experience, okay? And as long as you went along with what the church wanted, you were fine. But the moment you had a question in your mind and you raised it, you were ostracized to the point that you could be even excommunicated merely for asking a question. Just like in the Catholic Church during the Inquisition in the Dark Ages. If that hurts anybody's feelings, I'm sorry. But my life's experience is mine, okay? And I'm going to act accordingly. And it doesn't hurt my feelings. I don't have to get approval from any of you. And I'm not talking to everybody there. The people that I'm addressing will know who they are, okay? So most of you are great. Most of you understand. And I want you to disagree with me at times. If we have an echo chamber, ladies and gentlemen, then we're no better than when we were wards of the government or wards of an insane asylum. And an echo chamber accomplishes nothing. You go right back into your slavery. You go right back to sleep. Because if you think of something outside the box, you're ostracized. You're considered a blasphemer, an apostate. And if that's what Q is becoming, which is what it's becoming, I want nothing to do with it. I saw Mark Moyer, I believe that's his name. Excellent poster on Twitter. Mark, if you're here by another name, I have to mention this. And you said, let's get back to the things that matter. The things that are happening that we can verify. Okay, and I mean really verify. I don't mean just studying a puzzle and picking it apart and trying to come up with answers and then applying it to something post-occurrence. Okay? No, we need to see actually what's happening and address it in the real world. Now, there was another poster this morning, and I can't read these because unfortunately the Twitter's on my phone and I didn't bring my laptop. But I think he made a good point as well. And that is that the puzzles have become, the riddles have become what we do. And I warned about that months ago when Q first came out and I started to cover it. I said the danger here is that it will cause us to be lulled into a state of security, into a state where we feel we don't have to do anything. Because all we'll be doing is what? Arguing over the interpretation of the Q posts. And that is exactly what's happened. Now, a lot of you will say, well, Roy, what about all the verifications between Donald Trump's Twitter and Q? Well, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? The answer to that riddle came out yesterday, I think it was yesterday, from Project Veritas. Did you see that? Do you remember they were interviewing, that was an undercover camera with the Twitter executive, and they talked about how they can infiltrate your DMs? How many of you are paying attention to what your DM account is doing? Well, you might check it once in a while, but what if it's being used to transmit information behind the lines that you don't see on your regular page, and then they can erase it? I don't know what the hell's going on here, okay? I don't pretend to know how the IC, the intelligence community, has infiltrated the Q system, but I believe they have. I believe all of the evidence is there, and they had somebody, and this is why I got upset about it, they had somebody that used that, and people are going to say, oh, get off of it, Roy, leave it alone. No. This was a clue that there was a problem. Okay? If you're out in the woods and you see a bear track, you better start paying attention. Maybe your situational awareness ought to go through the roof and you start looking around. By the way, I had that experience myself. That's why I'm using it. Okay, and there was a grizzly and they were tracking me. Now look, when you see warning signs, you can't ignore them. Am I a little upset this morning? I'm sorry. I've been awake all night practically. I had a wonderful meeting with a lady last night that went real well. And there are some tragedies that both of us have endured. And it was nice to have that conversation with somebody. It was just kind of cool. And so, anyway, so I had some other things on my mind last night. And then, of course, all of this came flooding back because she brought up some things that I said, aha. Now, back to this Twitter thing. People, one of the verifications that people have used, Q in particular, that this is all associated with Trump, are the pictures, like the picture from the plane, right? The picture of the pen on the desk, etc., etc. There are a number of these things. Nobody has considered Bannon was part of the inside, but he was a mole. We know that now. How many more are there? Well, gee, let me see here. How many deep state people and neocons are in there? Just because they're taking pictures and maybe forwarding those pictures to whoever these QAnons are, doesn't mean that it's legit. Have you ever thought of that? Well, I hadn't until today because a Twitter user brought it to my attention. And I'm sorry I can't give that Twitter user an acknowledgement, okay? But he or she will know who they are. And I want you to know that a light went on in my head right there because I've been trying to, I gave Trump the benefit of the doubt. I gave our administration the benefit of the doubt. I never really realized that, wait a minute, there are infiltrators still there. I mean, I knew that, but I thought the Q team would be something closer in. Okay? So there's a problem here. Now that might raise the issue of why I got so upset about the DEF CON thing. Because that proved that these people are not in the know. Not in that level where they should be if they're really at that point at the administration. At first I went, wow, they're telling the DEF CON to the Twitter community, but they're not telling anybody else. And then I got to thinking, well, wait a minute, this is when I blew up. Why are they even using that? This isn't the venue to declare a DEF CON. Was it a secret message to somebody else? It doesn't matter. There are other methods of doing that. So anyway, I blew up about it. Well, then I got to thinking during this process that this is really a problem. This shows that there's a dent. There's a piece of rust in the Under Armour of this Q business. Now B, and I give her a lot of credit. I'm not attacking B here. She very likely she's one of us. Okay. I mean, as far as people trying to find out the truth, that might not be the case. Okay, I don't know. B, she's done a lot of good work. But as I pointed out during that whole thing, and I put up the DEF CON video, right? I did a Twitter thread at first, and then I did the video. And I pointed out that even she called it a maximum readiness condition. So even in her first explanation, it had nothing to do with defense contractors or definite confirmations, which is totally ass ridiculous to use the DEF CON for those things, because they have acronyms for those. And obviously the user of Q didn't know that. Obviously. So anyway, B came back and said, look, this is for you. And she showed a Q post where it said that DEF CON did not mean defense. Yeah. Dang it. Okay, I'll settle down a little bit. Q was saying that the DEF CON had to do with the prior tweet, talking about the definite confirmations, okay? And I said, okay, thank you for the clarification. And I explained in my tweets later, the tweet thread that I did, and in the video, that I did that because I wanted to back off and not cause a problem with the Q mission. I needed to examine it a little longer. I needed to see it. I needed to pick it apart. I needed to dissect it. What did I see in the next few days? What did you all see? Attacks, relentless attacks against Tracy Beans, Jordan Sather, and myself, and probably a lot of others. And it was a coordinated thing. And I had to sit back and look at it and say, I know the players here, okay? I'm just not going to bring up their names, okay? Because I'm not going to give them that notoriety. I'm not going to give them that respect. But I looked at this whole thing going on, and I thought, what did this accomplish? And how is it that these attacks are coming in a concerted, coordinated effort in mass all at the same time? Well, it's obvious. It's because we were saying things about Q that other people are either jealous of, all right, or that we were getting into situations that they didn't like because they weren't in control. What did we see with the Anons? By the way, why do we, and I'm including myself here because I fell into this, why do we want to accept a faceless Anon over Tracy Beans, over Jordan Sather, over Jerome Corsi, who have their lives and their life and their well-being on the line for you? Yet we're going to join the cult of a faceless Anon and bow down to it and agree not to cross them, not to go on their boards because they're sacred. And I understand that, oh yeah, they're dissecting all this, they're doing all this research. Hey, again, I don't know who they are. I know who Tracy Beans is. I know who Scott Anthony is. I know who Jordan Sather is. I don't know these Anons. And now it looks like, in my estimation, that there has been an infiltration into the Q situation, and maybe it was there from the start. I don't believe it was prior to November 24th. I'm still sticking with that. Up through November 24th, things were looking pretty good. And then all of a sudden there was that change. There was all these compromises and the board owners and the infiltrations and et cetera, et cetera. And everybody's saying, oh, they've taken care of that. And I thought maybe they had too. But now I'm not so sure. So we've got these Anons, and it's very likely that Twitter, geez, we were wondering how the tweets from President Trump could coincide with the Q posts and vice versa. Well, gee, now we know. So no disrespect to B, okay? I want you to understand that. And I said, through her and on a post on Twitter, thanks for the clarification, Q, on the DEF CON. And now that I've looked back at it and I've seen the results of that, I don't want to say that I submitted to Q, but I was willing to accept the explanation to a point. And I shouldn't have done it then. And a few of you called me out on it and say, why did you give in on that? Well, because I don't want to be divisive. If there's a real purpose in what's happening, I don't want to be divisive. And so I sat back and I looked at it. Let me give you an example in history, okay? This is a perfect example, and I've used it before. When the Bundys went up to help the Hammonds at Malheur, okay? And I heard they were going to do a demonstration. I thought that was fine. I still thought that the people in Oregon, including the Hammonds, didn't want it. So why are you going up there to do it? Okay? But, okay, they organize a demonstration. They go up and do that. I was still against it primarily because those people didn't want it. And I don't like forcing, those things on others. I'm losing my voice. 1 minute. Coffee's not the best thing for vocal cords, but tough luck. Okay. Well, then all of a sudden, they take over the refuge. And as soon as I found out about that, I started tweeting and calling up there and said, whose stupid idea was this? Right? And look at the mess that it caused. So that's kind of what's happened on this thing with Q. I had to back off of it because I saw that there was another step into the problem process. And that problem is it now is being used to divide the Patriot community. And it's labeling its most passionate adherents, like Tracy Beans and Joshua and Jordan Sather. I don't know why I keep calling him Joshua. I have a son named Joshua. That's probably why. Labeling them as problems, calling them names, going after them. And there are a lot of the people out there in the community, in the YouTube community, in the Patriot community, that are jumping on those bandwagons. Why? Because we're seeing cult behavior. And yet this QAnon is a faceless what? So you're going to worship an idol that you've imagined in your mind with this anon, that's probably nothing like what you think it is, over a real person that you can verify. We got a problem here. And when I stepped back and I looked at this thing with that attack, and now with the knowledge that we know that Twitter is compromised to the point that they can even infiltrate and we knew that they shut off President Trump's Twitter account at one time. Remember that? Well, apparently they're doing even more with it than that. Now I wonder how many people have received tweets from me that I didn't send. Or, we know the reverse is obviously true, how many tweets have we sent that were censored, that were shut down? And it can go either way, ladies and gentlemen. So, we have a problem here. And while I was willing to back off to allow the Q, over the DEF CON thing, allow me to back off that so that the Q mission could go forward, I was looking at it very closely. And when you look at the Malheur situation, and then you go to this other situation, and I'm going to use this as an illustration as well, the attack by Pickett at Gettysburg. Pickett's charge, do you know what that is in history? Pickett had this wild idea that, God is going to take that his division through an open field, a mile long, facing an entrenched, fortified position of Union. And that God is going to deliver them to defeat it. Well, you know what happened at Pickett's charge, do you not? Malheur was Pickett's charge in the Patriot community at that time, okay? There was one person that stood up at Malheur and said, no, that was me. And I wasn't there. I said, don't do that. And there were probably some others, but I'm using this as an example. In this Gettysburg history, there was a general that stood up and said, General Lee, General Pickett, don't do this. Don't do this. Do you know who that was? General Longstreet. And he was ridiculed for his position. He just left and sat down under a tree, quite a ways away, and just let it happen, because what else was he going to do? And then after it was all done, did they come to him and say, geez, Longstreet, you were right? Well, there was one person that did do that, and his name was General Robert E. Lee. He finally said, Longstreet, you were right, I've goofed. So what I'm saying is, I look at those historical examples, and I see that happening in the Q cult, and that's what it is now. Let me bring up a couple of other things, okay? Then I'll start looking at some questions here. By the way, Jordan Sather kind of went in and defended himself, but he didn't mention any names. He didn't attack anybody directly, although he was in his rights to do so. Same with Tracy Beans. Same with Jerome Corsi. Okay? And I have also defended myself on some things without mentioning names. But there are some real snakes out there, and I'm beginning to think that they are implants from the IC. Because as I said a few minutes ago, this was a coordinated, concerted effort. So if you people want to follow others, look, I'm not here for clicks. I'm not here for follows, and I'm sure as hell not here for fame or money. So I expect the people to look at people. Now, I'm not attacking Jordan or Tracy for getting Patreon or those things. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that, especially with what they do. So don't take this wrong. All right? But the fact of the matter is that we're not out here for those reasons. Okay? And if our viewers, if the people out there in America, in the world, can't see that, if they're going to compare us and judge us based upon the accusations, you can twist things any way you want. Okay? You can turn a 28-year career into a debacle if you twist it right. Okay? That's as far as I'm going to address that. Because the rest of it isn't worthy of my attention. If it's worthy of yours, follow that little path down there and see where it takes you. Okay? So I saw that coordinated effort, and that was after I backed off of pointing out the problem with the DEF CON. And that's why when I got the request to explain myself a little better, and I took that opportunity into the Twitter thread, and then I put it on YouTube as a video, I realized that I needed to just unroll, unveil, unwrap this whole thing. And the key is the Twitter compromise of Trump's account. And I don't trust the Anons anymore. The Anons want that's their thing. That's their cult. That's their game. It's their virtual reality game because they're not going to go out and do anything in the real world. So I'm done. Until there's a verified massive response from Trump on the deep state, which Monty, by fact of the matter, he's made several Monograph, has made several videos. And I know some of you don't like Monograph because you think of something he did in the past which he didn't do. I've already looked into that. That's all BS as well. Like I said, you can twist anything into anything you want. And if you don't have critical thinking, anyway, I'm getting off I'm getting off topic. Sorry. You know, I started to bring too much stuff in. I'm not going to deal with Q anymore. Not until something significant, not until some type of significant verification from Trump occurs. Because I see too many problems with it now. Okay? Again, up through the 24th of November, good to go. Everything was there. Everything made sense. And as I said before, the commander's intent was laid out in that first month. Very, very well. And after that, it's been this game of, I feel like I'm doing a Where's Waldo game. Okay? And I think a lot of you have felt that way too. So, again, nothing against B. B, if you've got contacts, which I think you do, you tell them, I'm not putting up with this anymore. We don't need to do this. The bad guys already know what you're saying in your codes, Q. And you know that. Are you sending authentications out? Is Trump sending authentications out using that? Well, we've seen that in history before. I'm not saying that couldn't happen. But the way these codes are going, it's really getting ridiculous. It really is. And so I'm backing out. All right, I'm done. I'm going back to the real world, and I'm going to address things as they occur in real time. Because I've got the background to do it. I don't need Q to tell me that Princess Diana was assassinated. Gee, when did we start talking about that? The day it happened. And now we're supposed to get some revelation that, oh yeah, Princess Diana was assassinated by the British intelligence. Duh! No, I'm done. Okay? I put out a video yesterday. I tweeted about it, and I know people say he has, deep state connections and has been interviewed by, dark channels and all that. Well, who hasn't? I've been interviewed by CBS, NBC, Good Morning America, etc., etc. Yeah, they're all dark. They're all part of the deep state. Really? Does that make me part of them because they interviewed me? Come on, people. Dr. Joseph Farrell. It's on YouTube. I don't have the name here, but you can check my Twitter account and you'll see what I'm talking about. It talks about this whole thing being a marketing scheme by the corporations, by the deep state, because they realize, this is the bottom line that Dr. Farrell's saying. There's a lot of other evidence that he shows, but this is the bottom line. That this is a fight for control of the masses. That we've left the mainstream media and they see us on the alternative media, and so they want to get control of the alternative media. And Q, after the 24th of November, I'm not saying it happened before that, could be, but I don't think so, they took control of it. They compromised it. They got into it because they want to get that market. And that made every bit of sense to me. And how do they do it? Espionage, infiltration, deception, Twitter, controlling the DMs, maybe even your Twitter account, and sending sending tweets you don't send and deleting tweets you don't. And then you have a mole on the 747 of Air Force One taking the pictures, and then that seems like a verification. I don't believe it anymore. I'm not accepting it anymore. So Q and B have some explaining to do. And if Trump is behind this, I think he was originally, he's going to have to come out and explain it to us. You know, you can't save the republic in secret. I'm sorry, President Trump, you can't do it. JFK said that we find secret societies repugnant. Secrecy for operational security is understandable, but we're beyond that, President Trump. The bad guys know. You put it out on Q if you did it. So they already know. They see what you're doing. They understand. They know where it's going. And in fact, I think it was Richie from Boston. And I don't follow Richie. And it's not because I don't like him. It's because there's just so much information out there. I have to funnel down into a certain area. And so I don't go with Richie, but I have a lot of respect for him. Okay? I'm going to say that publicly. Not that he makes mistakes too. That's not the issue, and I don't want to hear that. One of you who hasn't made a mistake, one of you, don't throw rocks if you live in a glass house. Richie from Boston, he pointed out that there was a tarot deck, and that it shows the burning tower and Trump sitting on the top of the world with a scepter, meaning he's ruling. This set was apparently put together like in 2005 or something like that. What does that tell you? Well, what it tells me is no matter what Trump is doing, and if he's up front, if he's being honest, which I think he is, okay, I'm still going with that. But he's the one that's on the chopping block here. He's the one that has to make the proof. And yet, they keep turning it on us, saying, no, you have to believe, you have to believe. You have to be in this cult. If you don't, then you're a blasphemer, you're an apostate. I reject that. I reject it out of hand completely. So Richie from Boston, he shows this tarot deck. The elite knew that Trump was going to make it in, whether they manipulated it, whether they control him. Monty says, well, the deep state controls it. Well, that's true because there are white hats and black hats in the deep state. I understand that. And you really need a deep state for the government to work. I understand that too. It's just that so much corruption can happen there if the elected representatives don't keep it under control, which they haven't done. So my point is, I'm not sure what's going on here anymore. I'm not gonna take the Make America Great Again hook, line, and sinker until I start seeing my first canary in the coal mine happened with the Bundys being released. Although they still want to give them trouble. And the FBI agents and the U.S. Attorney Myrie, the prosecutor, and the BLM agents, a lot of those people should be arrested and prosecuted for the crimes they committed. Will they? Well, does anybody in the deep state ever get prosecuted? We have a corrupt, evil government, even under Trump. Probably worse now than it was before. Well, I'm not saying it would have been a lot worse under Hillary. Most of us would probably already be in frickin' FEMA camps, if not already eliminated under the Weatherman Underground plans, taking out, at the time 60 million Americans, it'd be up like over 100 now if you use the same ratio. This is a troubled time. Things aren't rosy, everybody. They're not rosy. We're not going down the path we need to. Wars in Afghanistan, not just bombing the CIA drug labs anymore. Korea might be, coming in now, but now we have this problem with China, reducing their taxes on corporations to zero to counter what Trump did. This is insane. This is going crazy, and I don't think it's going to get better. I'm sorry, I don't. So you better pray, and stay out of the way. Well, I'm not going to cover any more, Dr. Farrell. I think I narrowed it down, watered it down into a nutshell here. So go look at it. No, I don't remember the name of the video. Dark. It's something like Dark Reporter interviews Dr. Joseph Farrell about Q. Something like that. I don't remember the exact thing. It's about 40 minutes long. I tweeted it out. It's worth going and looking at, okay? I'm not saying you have to agree with it, but you need to at least consider, you need to put it into your filters. You need to put it into your computer and kind of let it roll around for a little while. And the same with Monograph. I know, he's different, but that's why he's effective. Okay, let me see if I can take some questions here. I'll have to slow this down a little bit, sorry. Okay, prepare for more of Roy's bullshit, guys. You know what? I don't take offense to that. I consider that a badge of honor because I know what's in my heart. You've got some. Is this a real picture of you, Normie CX? I doubt that's your real name. My name, my reputation, my fortune is on the line. How about yours? If you've got so many guts, come out here and show us your face. Stop hiding behind an anonymous. We're getting a little sick of this. Dark Journalist interviews Dr. Joseph Farrell. Thank you, John Beasley. I appreciate it. And I'm going to say this again to that last person, okay? that I just addressed. All right? Go watch the people that are trying to accuse myself, Sather, and Beans of inappropriate things, or bringing up things from the past and twisting it so that they can use it to character assassinate somebody. Compare that, which is, what is Satan? Satan is the accuser, right? The only people I accuse are people in power that abuse it, okay? So, if you like what those people say, Mr. Normie CX, you don't have to come here. Go fill your brain and your heart and your soul with that bullshit. You're more than welcome to it. Because this is the time of the great divide, which I've talked about before. You want to follow Satan and his minions? Have at it. We don't need you here. You've just filtered yourself out. The tares have just been separated from the wheat. So you know what? It doesn't hurt my feelings. You're not hurting my feelings. I don't feel embarrassed about my background because I know what was in my heart. It doesn't matter. I got a relationship with God. I don't need you as my intermediary priest. So go to hell. That's all I'm going to say about that. I used to like what you had to say, but watch yourself. No, Jennifer. No. I will speak my mind. I will say what I see. I will reveal what is revealed to me. I will question what nobody else questions. I will not be a slave. I will not be dictated to. I will not be brought into a cult to be kept under control. Do you understand? I'm not a yes man. I've stood toe to toe with 3-star generals. You think I'm going to be worried about your feelings about me? No, I really don't care. Okay, I'm beyond that. I'm beyond that. So the same thing I said to Mr. Zix or whatever it is goes for everybody else who just said what she said. I will say what I need to say. Are you an Anon, Jennifer? Under another name? Because the Anons don't like what's going on here. They want that control. They want to be, oh, that's our board. We've got to have control of it. We're gonna take care of all this. We're gonna tell you what Trump says. We're gonna filter everything, or Q says, we're gonna filter all this out. Well, whatever. Things in secret are a problem. Okay? Societies in secret, including the Anons on 8chan, are a problem. I'm sorry, they just are. Okay. Okay, dark journalists. This chat is a ramble. Fine, Marta, it's more Dassey, go somewhere else. You know, I do these YouTube... Then why be here? Okay? Go somewhere else. You don't understand. I don't need you. I don't need you. I could throw this away today. I could go out and meet some lady and go lie on a beach somewhere, getting sunshine, climbing a mountain, you know, having a beer at the local beer hall with the boys. But no, I'm going to be here and I'm going to explain to you how I view this. You don't think that's worthwhile? You don't think it's of any efficacy or virtue? You're not being forced to stay here. Get the hell out. I'm done with you people. I'm done with you. If you think I'm kidding, watch me. Because I've wanted to stop this before. Not because you're hurting my feelings. Don't misunderstand me. Not because I'm afraid that you might not like me. I don't give a damn. Okay? I don't. I really don't. I made a promise to God that I would do my best to preach the perfect law of liberty and everything that feeds into that. You can reject it. I really don't care. Do you understand? I tell you what, I can prove it to you. And some people aren't going to like this. You want me to shut down for a week and not say shit? I think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to go enjoy myself somewhere. I don't need clicks. I don't need followers. I don't take money. I'm not looking for fame. I'm not trying to control you. I'm trying to wake you up. Do I know all the answers? No, I'm not claiming that. But I think I'm going to do this. I think I'm going to go away. Bye, everybody.